podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hello, hello, hello.
Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us. On the count of 3, 2, 1, click. We're going to click that button. We're going to get those words. We're going to throw them at each other. We're going to make a game design, and then we'll see what happens from there. Like whether we get another word or whether we do the same as last week, which is
and just do one game for half an hour because it was
one game for half an hour
so
that had nothing to do with Halloween.
It was Halloweeny enough. All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
We talk a big game. We really do.
Alpha float.
Devastating stroke.
Ooh. Okay, so when I thought of alpha float, I thought of a parade.
See, when you said float and I saw stroke, I'm like, this is a swimming game.
Oh, okay. Those are both interesting.
It's all about making it to the top of the swim team.
Okay.
You're a beta trying to become an alpha.
All right, yes, but in the sense of just like top and not quite top, not toxic masculinity.
Exactly. In fact, it's like because we've been playing V Rising, and I just think alpha wolf.
Right.
So I just think as you're going through all these different swim meets, like you're also some sort of hunter that is like hunting the alphas of each of these.
All right, well, let's see if we get to that point. First, I want to figure out how do we make swimming mechanics fun? What is it that determines whether you win or lose a swim race? Presumably there are some sort of stats involved, unless we want to make it purely skill-based somehow.
Oh, skill-based is kind of fun, though. Like
rhythm? Feels like maybe that would be
because I'm sort of thinking triggers, and then you got to
press something to breathe.
You got to press something to breathe at the same time, so that you're breathing on that side.
Okay, I could see the rhythm. I could see that rhythm being interesting. It would get boring pretty quickly based on. I mean, I guess if you've got a few different things that you have to keep in time. So, like, yes, it's like your left, right strokes, and the faster you do those in a good rhythm, the faster you go, but then you do have to time your breaths as well.
Yeah, but then, like, if you're not getting enough time to breathe, the whole reason why people, like, when you see Olympic swimmers actually swimming, they're not going as fast as they can. They've got it.
No, they're pacing
long drawn out,
and yes, for sure,
long drawn out strokes because they know the fastest they can actually go is if they actually take as much water as they can in each stroke.
And propel themselves forward.
To propel themselves forward rather than just going ham-fisted trying to go as fast as possible.
But I'm trying to figure out also how that will work from the game mechanics point of view. Like, how are you going to beat someone else? Is it just being on because there's got to be a sweet spot there for how fast you are actually doing those strokes as well, right? And so maybe it is about, obviously you can't just go left, right, because you're not actually doing full strokes then to propel yourself. You're just like getting halfway through.
We're not playing decathlon here, like from early PC days where you're just trying to hit those two buttons as fast as you can in alternating steps. Yeah. But instead, this is a tactical game of trying to keep your energy going.
Your breath, your breath right. Okay. I could see that then where you could have some sort of indicator of the power of each stroke and that you can see it compared to like your previous one, like how much it's actually pushed you forward. So you're sort of figuring out those sweet spots of, okay, do the next stroke when my arm is back, to my hip so that it actually comes around in that arc and does the next, big stroke.
What needs to happen is this needs to be on the PS5 and it needs to be a PS5 exclusive.
Okay. So
because as you get to halfway through the stroke, and that's where you're pushing the water. Yeah. That's the second part of the, like,
it makes it like
the second
harder.
Half
You
of the
actually
haptic.
feel that water as you pull.
You feel the
trigger.
water and
I can see that. And you're doing it with your hands on video. The audience can't see this, but they can maybe figure out based on your sound effects. But yes, like having that resistance there as the stroke actually goes through the water would be really cool. I think you could do it. I don't know that you'd want to rely on it to the point that it needs to be exclusive. But
while you're doing that, you are wiggling the sticks up and down because
feet?
that's your feet. or you're pushing down on the D-pad and X.
No. I'm trying to figure out how that would feel.
Shitty. I just tried it.
Yeah, you couldn't do that and your long strokes. That wouldn't work. Okay, so, all right, that's some pretty decent feeling mechanics. I feel like you could really tweak that to make it sort of feel like you're moving through the water strongly. Do we also then, though, have stats that you build up over time, like that you will get more power out of your strokes? You'll, I don't know, be, lung capacity and also gear as well, right? Like if you're upgrading to the super, what do you call it? Dynamic water, low drag, that sort of stuff.
Low drag.
Swim.
So in other words, you're always shaving. Like you got the shaving mini games.
Shaving mini games. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I kind of love is you can also bring it into once you start getting good at swimming and get your lung capacity up, you can take some odd jobs, which are all to do with like going deep sea diving or
swim related jobs. I don't know about deep sea diving. I feel like all these skills are based around surface swimming, fast surface swimming. So it's like someone's like, can you deep dive down and get this for me? I'm like, no, if it's not floating on the surface, sorry, I can't do anything about it.
By the time you've finished, it will be floating on the surface, and then I mean, I'm now just thinking I really want to be playing Sea of Thieves again because I kind of missed that game.
Yeah. Okay, but let's...
If only you could be on a PvE server. That would be... I mean, that's the sort of stuff I enjoy.
I think the PvP's fine, whatever. It's just... Anyway, we're not discussing real games here.
Only fake games.
Only fake games that, will likely
real
never
fake doors.
So let's think a bit about the sort of story, I guess, or like the environment that you're in here and your relationship to other swimmers and that sort of thing. I mean, I like the idea of just, you've got these other swim teams with their sort of distinct personalities perhaps and different skills.
Yep.
Do you go a bit cartoony with it and have like one team are like the pufferfish or whatever and they can hold their breath for, they don't have to breathe the whole time and they're all like, they have distinct, looks and feels and they've all got spikes coming out of them because they're actual like pufferfish. And then you've got, another team that's the
blowholes.
The blowholes, and they literally breathe out of their backs. And they've got, they've got flippers instead of feet or whatever. Each of their feet are flippers.
Each of their feet are just prehensile tails.
Yeah. Exactly, yes. They just walk around on those prehensile tails, but when they get in the pool, boy, do they go fast. Yeah, so you've got these, like, what seem like unbeatable, teams, and as you come up against them, they're, like, trash-talking you or whatever, but then maybe as you beat them, you kind of, for one, you learn from them, but you have relationships with the people on their teams and stuff.
Yeah, it's when you come across the Poseidons, and they've all got, like... tridents and shit. And literally command the water away from you, so you're not actually swimming in water. You're just running on ground.
The water. They just sit down in the water like they're on a throne, and it just pushes them forward. That's the whole way that they swim. But I kind of love that. I love that sort of cartoony.
It's only vibe. The alpha. It's only the top person in each
team who can have these sort of real special powers. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense because then you're building up to that over time to defeat that out, and maybe you've got special techniques you have to use.
And I like the idea that each school that you go to, there's like a water themed dungeon that you have to go through that eventually have to face off against the alpha at the end to.
Okay. Is it still just like swimming as fast as you can is the main mechanic though in all of these?
I think, there's certainly some race parts of each of these maps, but then there's also the typical sort of roguelike sort of moving around, maybe with a simple weapon, scanning stuff on top of the water.
Yeah, well, I wonder though.
Dive down very briefly, and you can only stay down for 15 seconds because because
you've only trained yourself to breathe between strokes, not actual hold your breath for a long time. Yeah,
yeah, and if you take 5 strokes underwater, then you're like. Open a clam, get that bubble.
Get that bubble. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind that. I think if we can base it still around the swimming mechanics as much as we can, so that all of the skills and things you learn feed into those parts as well. But yeah, I agree. They don't necessarily all just have to be racing, like race as fast as you can. But I think maybe they're all set in a small pool-like area, obviously. And I think, yeah, that you want them to mostly use the same skills and then figure out like a twist on them or something. So, maybe you're going back and forth to like hit different, it's more about how fast it might even be like use your turn, your kick turn or whatever, more in that level because you have to get to the other side faster.
Hit a button and then quickly hit this button before it,
something
blinks
like
out. Like, because normally you need 2 people, but you're such a fast swimmer. If you can do it in 4 strokes.
Well, that's it because that's a great mechanic as well. If you've got a timing element on your flip turn, like if you hit it bang on, you get like a speed boost where you go like halfway down the pool in one
dolphin kick, swim
in one boost, which can come into play in other areas too. Anyway, I like that. That's cool.
Devastating. Exactly.
So is this your next word?
That was my word in the previous one.
Oh, right. I forgot we had that word. Devastation. That's like when you win and you kick ass.
Emphasized witch.
National Waffle.
Ooh. Okay, so it's a Halloween-based game because this is the magic type of witch.
Okay.
It's the Halloween game that we didn't get to last week.
The Waffle Witch.
Ooh. Which waffle?
I like breakfast food-based
powers.
Or a world full of like all magical powers are based around certain types of breakfast food, perhaps.
Oh, and she's a sandwich.
She's a sandwich. Well, that's one of her enemies is the sandwich. She's the Waffle Witch, presumably.
Okay, she's Waffle Witch. She's going up against Sandwich.
Against the breakfast sandwich. Like an egg and bacon sandwich.
Okay. What magic powers does the breakfast Waffle Witch have? Unfortunately, maple syrup I'm seeing.
There's definitely some sort of...
Which is not my favorite type of syrup.
There's definitely some sort of syrup invocation. You've got... she can just generate waffle. Breakfast-based powers are not never going to be all that useful. It's mostly good for puns, which I'm trying very hard to come up with.
A waffle just hits you in the face after she waves a wand at you and you got a waffle in your face.
She can change the shape of anything, so it's just got like vague indentations in it, like a waffle. Griddle.
Look, little
griddle powers.
Little pools of maple syrup.
But I think it's more about who you go up against, right? You've got like, the person doing eggomancy. You've got trans baconation. More of them.
Sausage powers.
Sausage powers. The hash brown hag.
Ooh. I'm seeing that is definitely one of the biggest enemies.
Yeah. Caffeine warrior.
Yep.
We're going to cut out all the gaps in here to make it sound like we're coming out with this super quickly off the top of our heads.
Because 3, 2, 1 click. Unfortunately, that didn't go anywhere.
Hey, we're still coming up with puns. All right, fine. By will.
Asserting pollution. So, world building to start off with. The world is being like polluted to, an nth degree. Like it's really, really, it's fucking bad. And will has come down
like from the heavens.
Well, I think
Queensland.
he's not Queensland. Actually, yes, Queensland, but Queensland is a orbiting space platform.
New Queensland.
And so he's come down in like a carrier ship.
Okay.
And
so this is the future.
This is the future.
Okay.
Like literally the entire world is not populatable, but the idea is if you clean up enough, you can make little areas habitable and kind of Wall-E, but you're a human kind of doing the opposite of Satisfactory in the fact that you're coming down to clean up the world of pollution, not cause more.
Okay.
By automating.
So it's only the opposite in Satisfactory in that in the actual end result of what you're doing. Otherwise, it's exactly Satisfactory.
It's exactly Satisfactory. The idea is that you're trying to clean out these chemicals out of the water and pump out clean drinking water and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I'm imagining that, once you actually clear away the smog, the sunlight now comes through, so solar panels are now usable.
Okay. Yeah, I do like that idea of the positive feedback loop via your actions, creating more possibilities for automation.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand how exactly this ties into breakfast foods.
Because that was the previous game.
Yeah, but I can't stop trying to think of good puns, even though I can't come up with any. That's the problem here. Something to do. We didn't even do a pancake one. All right, sorry. Okay. So
pancake politician. Pancake president.
The pancake president. Okay, thank you. All right.
There you go.
Okay, so what other pollution-based sort of things that, I guess depending on what's going through these rivers and stuff, you could be, as long as you can filter them out in a usable format, they can perhaps be turned into other things.
Yeah, I'm imagining that the chemicals that you take out of the river could actually be, converted into real, real things that you need to make more machines.
Maybe we make a bit of a statement here, or have some challenges where it can't all be there has to be a process to get from this, where we are, this horrible situation where everything's polluting. It's not all going to be green straight away.
Oh,
this
no,
is not a statement based on my political beliefs, by the way, because we're way past that in the real world, and we should be going straight as much as we can, hard as we can on green stuff. But my thought is okay, what if you're pulling some sort of chemical sludge or whatever out of the river, and that's great. You're cleaning up the river by X%, and then you have that sludge, but you can then burn that sludge for power, but then that creates
more smog.
Right? And then you've got other things where you're dealing with the smog, but that might have its own side effects. And so there is overall you are improving things. Obviously you need to give them that, but that you are having these trade-offs.
Because the idea is that even though, look, we know that this technology is going to cause some sort of pollution, but then you need to offset it and then do more, so that it ends up in a net positive.
Yes, and not the stupid carbon offsets that aren't actually a real thing and they're just a capitalist or whatever. Actual offset you are doing enough good by pulling pollution out that the pollution you are using or making to do so, you still have a net benefit. I could see that being interesting.
Here's the thing. You could actually make this a procedurally generated sort of land that effectively you've been assigned this island, and this island is X number in size.
Yeah.
And your whole idea for this island is to get it as clean as possible and find out the mystery of this island. Because each island has a mystery.
Well, I was going to say, each island, you have successive islands and they're getting bigger and bigger and different types of pollution. That could almost be a progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
cool. When you come across the big boss monster at the end of each island that you realize, oh shit, this is just a very long form roguelike.
Right. Yeah, you could have that be, based on the inputs for those early islands, yes, they're smaller and there's less stuff in them, but that's just, essentially, yes, it's a roguelike where each island is a new run and you have new techniques and new things that carry over.
And after you've gone through something the first time, you kind of know, hey, look, I kind of don't want to, gate too much technology behind. You need bajillion of these resources to be able to do this thing.
Yeah.
I think the fun in this game will actually come from the exploration, the knowledge that you are.
Well, and I think in setting up these feedback loops of the synergies between them, right? It's okay, get a sludge trawler to pull the sludge out of the river. That's going to create air pollution of this type. But as long as I build a, purifier with these materials in the area, then that's only going to output 7 diseased animals per minute. And, I've got my, my oil cleaning, activists in their camp
In a can, I thought you were about to say.
Yep. Just open it up and activists pop out. Like snakes.
They spring out like snakes.
Spring-loaded activists. No, in a camp. And they clean off.
No. It is in a can. It is 100% in a can. It's just the... They're dehydrated activists.
Yep.
And just add water.
Just add water. And that's where the clean water comes in. You've taken the sludge out. You've got the water for the activists. Yeah. That's just the input.
If you put sludgy water on them, they become enemies.
Yeah, like, you get fascists.
You get conservatives.
Same thing. I did also like with the animals, another trade-off, an interesting trade-off could be that you have these like mutated animals from like radioactive waste or whatever that is output by one of these things. You obviously want to save them and clean them up, but those animals are actually like stronger and more powerful, and you can have them like pull your vehicles and they're faster or something, right? So again, it's this trade-off of, do I, sacrifice some of these animals who are sick but can do things for me versus how much of this I actually clean up. Yeah, I feel like there's some good tension between those different mechanics there that could be fun to play with.
Really are. It really is. Like, what sort of boss monsters can we be coming up against?
Black Smoke Monster from Lost.
100%.
The obvious one when you're already on an island and it's pollution-based.
Three-eyed fish from Simpsons, but it's huge.
Yeah, or it's just like swarms of them or something, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're literally just three-eyed piranhas, and it's just...
The mechanical spider from Wild Wild West, Wiki Wild Wild West.
Oh, yes. Just because
it's
spewing out pollution.
That's it. It spews so much pollution. It's a steampunk thing.
That is actually really cool. There's just literally a guy called Telon Crust, and he's just like producing so many batteries that like it's bringing down the entire island.
Also, just a lot of hot air coming out of him all the time.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's all.
And for some reason, he's tweeting like a bird. Like,
yeah, until the tweeting all starts slowing down and eventually stops and collapses in on himself.
But every 20 seconds he like the little check mark that he's got like just disappears, and then you see him hit a couple of buttons and it appears again.
Yeah, and you get $8. Topical.
Thank you, Stephen King, for bringing it down from $20.
And also there's a King Kong Island. Because again, it ties into the strong animals. Maybe you can choose to mutate King Kong and harness his power to clean up the rest of the island.
By creating a massive harness that you put on the back of him.
Yeah, you literally harness, yeah.
And that
then you can ride him around.
You go, hang on, I'm not this big. Why am I putting a harness that is this big? And you realize it's because you've actually been mutated and you grow as big as Godzilla, and you can now ride King Kong around.
Yeah, like definitely. It's just like
a ape horse.
An ape. Yeah.
You weren't expecting me to say ape horse.
I'm usually not expecting you to say ape horse. There have not been many times that I've expected you to say ape horse. All right, let's do one more.
Yet it happens more times than not.
Yeah, I've had to edit that out a lot.
In the 30 hours that you cut out this week. Callback. 3, 2, 1, click.
Keyed persuasion.
Aerial silicon.
So I don't know if just because you mentioned Stephen King, but keyed persuasion makes me think of Lock and Key, which is his son, wrote that. Sorry, that's the connection there.
No, I'm like, yep, I'm there.
I knew you were, yeah. Where you can potentially like alter people by sticking a key in them and turning it. Now, whether we go directly with that, but the idea of every person having like a key to their brain or something is interesting. That if you find their key, you have some sort of level of control over them.
Ooh.
Kind of creepy, but
that's very. I mean, I find that show very, very creepy on Netflix.
Yeah,
like
the show's great and creepy, but
the more I watch, the more I go, the body modification of all of a sudden there's a keyhole there. It's kind of a bit
the way it like just opens up. I still watch that
and then
season.
they instantly just stick the key in. It was like,
what's the that fear of holes in your skin or whatever? There's a phobia, common phobia. Anyway, trypophobia or something. But what did you have? Aerial silicon?
Yes. So flying silicon.
I mean, silicon, one of the ways I go is like circuitry or like chips.
Yep.
So this is like a drone-based game.
Ooh, what if it was flying silicon-based life?
Okay.
So
it's on an alien.
It's an alien
planet.
World sort of thing. It's all. So it's taking that key thing that effectively, it turns out, I like the idea that people have been coming to this planet to collect like these silicon samples because it has the special property to enable them to create the mind controlling key.
Okay, so I'm going with both. There's this silicon based life form that has the biological properties to create keys that can alter people's minds, essentially.
Yeah. Essentially, it's a latent ability from many, many years ago in their past. Like, these life forms can't have it anymore, but it's in their DNA somewhere. It just got bred out over generations.
Yeah, something around the ability to have that effect on other members of their population gave them a survival, benefit. And so, yes, that became a dominant part of their... I mean, it doesn't have to have been bred out. Like, it could be interesting that that's just part of their biology. And people have adapted that to work on humans, essentially.
Yeah, because I could imagine human beings would find something like that and then immediately go, how could we kill this animal and use it for...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, all right, I like this as a world-building kind of thing. I kind of feel like this is a bit of just an action-adventure game or something, or almost a bit of a like sci-fi horror game in a sense, because I'm picturing situation. What I'm thinking is that when they have this key, it essentially lets them just replicate their brainwaves into those people. And so you have these situations where you've got your big bad or whatever, you've got your evil person who's doing this, or even just like some of the troops or what, like people who are utilizing this, they've gone around and like stuck this key in the back of just random people's heads. And then all of a sudden these people are all acting like simultaneously.
Almost as a hive mind sort of thing, but really they're just
like they're all making the exact same motions effectively.
I like the idea of, at first, the people who stuck the key in, turned it and all that sort of stuff, they think they can control it.
Yeah.
But the more that they do it, the more like it's almost like individual brain cells turning on and this hive mind sort of coalesces.
Oh, it's like actually creating an extra, like a new consciousness amongst all these things. Yeah, well, that could be cool because then you could have the scene with like the scientist who comes rushing in because they've figured it out. They're like, we have to stop doing this. I've been studying the silicon creatures and I realized that
they really do actually want this because
we're feeding into their consciousness. We're adding to their hive mind.
This is actually foreseen in their prophecy. It's called Ragnarok.
No, I think it's just like it might not even be
psychic being.
Well, it might not even be that that they wanted it or anything. Like I don't think they're sentient, but until you start,
they get enough
humans into their hive mind, essentially, and yes, then they have enough control over enough higher level thinking brain cells. That hive mind starts taking on consciousness.
Because I like the idea that it's like the first third of the game, you're going up against little groups of these like converted people, and you come up against the evil CEO who's been turning all these keys, and then they hit a switch and they turn like this massive army all at once.
Oh yeah,
and there's this massive psychic projection that. That happens at this stage, and they turn around and kind of destroy the CEO's building, sort of thing. But they've now been turned on, and this is now the new big bad that you're actually really going up against. That
for sure, effectively.
So the rest of the game, it's like you're actually going up against an enemy that will literally remember every single fight you go up against it because it's the same enemy.
Because it's the same consciousness,
you
take out.
You've got to be always
cells.
Adapting your fighting style. Otherwise, they know that you always use this fighting combo.
Yeah.
So they now have a counter to it.
How do you even defeat such a hive mind? Because is there any central place, or is it that you need to somehow disrupt all of the connections or something?
Yeah, I think in the story there'll be a way of basically creating a massive Faraday cage, which basically negates all the signals.
It's actually just a type of hat, and you have to put it on enough people. So like the latter half or the latter part of the game, instead of, or your new move, you've got a new move with all your fighting and stuff that just puts the hat on the person that you're fighting, and then you have to move on. There's
a mini game at the start that's kind of like the James Bond thing of throwing his hat onto like a
like a hook or whatever.
Onto like a hat rack or whatever. Yeah, if you get really good at that game, you're going to have a breezy second half because it's literally that game continuously.
Yeah.
But if you skip that because you're like, that's kind of a bit pointless.
Yeah.
You don't have the skills now, and you've got to.
Foreshadowing.
What I love is you get towards the end of the game and you realize, had I just spent the entire time, rather than fighting this thing and making myself an enemy, had I, just walked around and not gone up against it and
just sold hats.
And just sold hats, it would have been easy to get the hats on them at the end.
Yeah.
But I know, I like the idea of it's a game mechanic to keep you varied in.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool for sure.
But it's not one of those game mechanics of you can get to the point where you've been playing for so long that nothing you do
no, I think it's
will
more
actually
about,
work.
I think that the protection
there's
against
limited
the
number of
decays
points
over time as well, perhaps. Yeah.
So basically, there's a limited number of points. If you are literally doing the one combo,
it'll fill
all
up
the
very
points go
quickly
against
and they can
go against that one thing.
Yeah. All right, I think we shall end it there. So thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. All of our episodes are up there. Maybe one day 300 will be up there. I don't know.
We'll have a 300 up there.
We may re-record it. We'll see. But yeah, check it out.
And if you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure by the band Kuradust. You can find that at kuradust.bandcamp.com.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm the Waffle Witch. Maple syrup. Maple syrup. Maple syrup.
I'm President Pancake. I like maple syrup.
My one weakness.